Again, don't mind all this because of renovation and moving and all that. It's gonna look like this for a little while. We're working on the painting, so this plastic here kind of has to be up for now. But yeah, let's just get into it because I should have waited. I know I should have waited, but I was just so excited that Hayley Williams dropped 17 songs at once. I was just confused why they were all dropped as singles rather than, you know, some sort of surprise album release. Well, I even said in that video, though, I would not be surprised if it got its own actual release as an album down the line. And well, today it dropped out of nowhere. We have an official track listing. These songs are put in a certain order, and it wasn't just done in any simple way of like, oh, Hayley put these tracks in order. She actually asked the fans, how would you put these songs in order in a track listing? And basically that's how we came to the track listing that we have. And there's also a new song that appeared on this album. But the thing is, it's also not done, because if you get the physical copies, which come out November 7th, whether you get a vinyl or a CD, there's also 2 more songs that will be coming with this. So there'll be a total of 20 in the end, but I'm here to talk about the version you can listen to on streaming currently, which features the 18 tracks as Hayley Williams' new 3rd studio album, solo-wise, which is called Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, is out. And I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because I've already technically talked about this album, but I've talked about it with each of the singles releasing, not necessarily an album as a whole. I did like that Ice in My OJ was actually the kick-off track. I said that when reviewing these songs, that Ice in My OJ just seems like the one that would be the opener to an album. It just made a ton of sense. One of the ones where we get to hear Hayley Williams actually scream here and there. Like, it's not like a heavy growly scream. It's just not something we've heard from her over the years when in Paramore or doing other things. It's very interesting when she just screams, I'm in a band, I'm in a band. It's, I don't know, it's more frustration than anything. Is these lyrics, they're just so, like, it's all about, oh, the warning signs were there, I was warned, but I never listened to them, or it was just something about, she's definitely mad at somebody. I don't know who it is. The rumors is that her and Taylor York broke up, which, if you don't know, her and Taylor York, who were bandmates in Paramore, were also dating, and that these lyrics are kind of revolved around him, and that Paramore is breaking up, even though her and Zach Farrow just started talking about Paramore stuff and the 20th anniversary of their debut record. So, I mean, who knows at this point what the future of Paramore is actually going to look like, but we do know that Hayley Williams is doing more as a solo artist to get out things that she may not be able to get out and talk about when doing Paramore, because, well, if it is about her bandmate and her ex, it would have been awkward to sing about this while working together, even though in 2009, when Paramore released Brand New Eyes, they kind of used that album as a tool for venting anyway. So I don't know. Again, that's not necessarily who I'm saying these songs are about mostly. These could be about a completely different person. She hasn't really come out and spoken about who these songs are actually about, because she also goes into how at one point she used to be married, and we all know who she used to be married to, and that didn't last long when it happened, because a lot of, you know, abuse that went on in there. All in all, it's just Hayley kind of looking back at her life and saying, I would have done things differently when I was younger if I were me now at 37 years old. There's a couple songs on here that I just felt like weren't necessarily great on the album. Love Me Different is okay, and Negative Self-Talk, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's more of a boring track. And then okay tracks, we have Whim, Discovery Channel, which I mentioned with Discovery Channel, it kind of samples the Bloodhound Gang's Bad Touch with the chorus basically being the same. It's just Hayley singing it in her own whimsical way. And then True Believer. And then the rest of the album is my favorite. We have Ice in My OJ, and even in the beginning of that song, when she does the whole spinning in circles, round and round I Can't Deny, I had made a video years ago about this band called the Mammoth City Messengers, who were kind of like this animated pop band back like 2002, 2003-ish. They were like Christian related too, and whatnot, and Hayley Williams was a part of that. And they have a song called Jumpin' Inside, which has that same exact chorus line, so it's interesting that she kind of brings that into the fray, because she's never really talked about her time with the Mammoth City Messengers. It's just kind of like been a blip in her history. So for people who know, they know. And then we have a song that was actually made an official single, got a music video, that being Glum, along with the title track, Ego, Death, and a Bachelorette Party, which is still an excellent song in itself. Mirtazapine just kind of, throws you back to what you would kind of get from, like, Avril Lavigne back in the day, I guess. Disappearing Man, Brotherly Love is still my absolute favorite of these tracks, and now I can say is my favorite on the album, because this thing is an album. And basically, just like I said, everything else is really cool. And the one new song on here actually kind of, I don't know, doesn't bring the album down, but I feel like it should have been placed somewhere else rather than right at the end of the album, and that's Parachute. Because a song like I Won't Quit on You is a perfect way to finish the album off, and yet it would have if Parachute wasn't on here, and she just kind of threw it on there. And Parachute's a good song, but again, I would put it higher up in the track listing because it kind of ruins the way the album ends with I Won't Quit on You. All in all, this is Hayley's first solo album in 4 years, and even though we technically heard it all before it came out, we finally get it in an order that makes it cohesive and is actually being released as an actual album now. So it will be eligible officially for my, at this point, best albums of the year, because this is one of my favorite albums this year. I had contemplated whether I would include it if push came to shove for the year-end list, but I was like, it's technically not an album, it's just a bunch of songs. But now that it's an album form, I can say that it could potentially appear on the year-end list come December, as this album I would give a really solid 7 out of 10. There's things on here that I do like, and there are moments that really bring this thing down, or maybe just the song structure is just boring in itself, doesn't really add anything, but for the most part, as an album, and now that we have a more cohesive and more in-order version of it, it makes it much, much easier to follow and play along with, rather than, the way she released it. But this also isn't the first time she just released all the songs of the album before the album came out. If you remember when she did her debut album, she released each of the 15 songs in 3 separate EPs, 5 tracks each, before the release of the album, so we got to hear it beforehand anyway. But this is technically her second surprise release record, and it's even probably better than Flowers for Vases. I mean, Flowers for Vases is one of those ones that just continued to dip on me as the years went by, but that's my opinion. You can tell me in the comments below if you liked this album, what were your favorite tracks, your least favorite tracks, and until then, well, I actually will see you all tomorrow with the review for the new Sabrina Carpenter album, Manchild. Actually, it's not called Manchild, it's called Man's Best Friend, my bad, but anyway, see you all tomorrow, and stay safe.